to the HealthyU podcast. I am Dawn Funk. I am your host today, and I am so excited for you guys to be joining us. And, we're all about just empowering people to, just really take ownership of their wellness goals, through education. And that's really the heart of just this podcast, is just equipping you through amazing guest speakers with wisdom and knowledge so that you can take ownership of your health. And, I've been helping people get healthy since 2011. And, it's something I'm very passionate about. I am a busy mom of 4 kids. Claudine and I were just commenting and talking about, she's got a teenager and a younger one. And I don't even think I shared this with you, Claudine, but I actually have 3 teenagers right now and an older son who is about to turn 22. He is in the Army serving our country in Alaska. So I know all too well what it's like raising some teenagers. So we got all that fun going on here at my house. But I am a former college professor. I am a former public school teacher, and I'm just really passionate about helping others, like I said, educate themselves. And so, feel free. I do offer a weekly wellness newsletter. I've also got just some other goodies at my website, dawnfunk.com. So you guys can feel free to go check that out. And then, of course, at the end of the show today, our special guest, Claudine, she's got some amazing, things that she's going to share and a gift for you as well. So speaking of Claudine, we want to shift the focus over to her today. And so I'm going to read just the bio that she sent me because she's absolutely amazing. And when you guys hear all of the different things that she is doing to help people take ownership of their health, you are going to be like, okay, I need to get a journal. I need to be taking notes from this woman because she's going to add a lot of value to you today. So Claudine is a certified professional health and weight loss coach, and she helps people lose their next 10 pounds, gain energy, and feel fabulous in their bodies. And this is my favorite part, by eating foods that they love. And so she's going to talk about that today. And, she also goes on to say that, many of us are go-getters. Hello, I can relate to that, by pushing ourselves to the brink on a daily basis. But Claudine has created a pathway for people to find their own zen, fabulous sleep, vibrance, love that word, by the way, and effortless weight loss by sharing her own recipes, which I have to tell you, I think that's one of the biggest things that people are looking for. So I love that listeners are going to get to hear more about that. And lifestyle strategies so that you can feel fantastic inside and out. And I'm just going to say one last thing. This is the very first podcast in HealthyU. And I am just so pumped. I can't think of anyone better, because we've been chatting here before we hit record, to be the very first guest on the HealthyU podcast than Claudine Francois. So Claudine, I'm so excited for our listeners to hear from you today. So go ahead and take it away, friend, and just share a little bit more about you and who you are.
Well, thank you for that fantastic intro. And I am so excited to be here. I'm so honored to be your first guest. And I'm so excited to share some information with your listeners, your viewers, because as you mentioned, or as we talked about earlier, feeling amazing in our bodies is one of those things that we just take for granted until it doesn't happen anymore. And then we just think, we're getting older. I guess it's just a part of that. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't need to be, right? Because in my 30s, I was in corporate America. I've been doing the corporate America trudge for, I did it in the end for like 20-ish years. And just the amount of pressure that you're in, the busyness of your lifestyle, all of the sucking the life out of you that being in, not just corporate, but our lives in general that are just so filled with things all the time take from us. It's really important for us to find a way to replenish ourselves, not only physically, but spiritually, mentally, some way of giving back to ourselves so that we are helping our bodies rather than just expecting them to compensate for all the bad things that we do to them all day long.
Yes. No, I love that. Well, and I think a lot of our listeners can relate to that because we live in a world where I feel like people are pressured, like being busy is almost like, expected of us, and something that, makes you, just be someone who's extra cool if you're extra busy. And really that's not the case because, to your point, I am in my 50s now, and I will tell you that, and I know you're going to talk about this today about how stress and other things, if we don't take care of ourselves and really just protect our peace, which I got my little thing right there, how that can lead to things, which we're going to talk about today, which could be weight gain, energy being sucked out of us, just this feeling of heaviness. And so I'm really excited because you've got just tons of great things that you're going to hit on related to that. And so let's dive right in, Claudine, and talk about that first one, which is, what are, and the people that you work with, what are 3 commonly held myths or lies that you have heard when it comes to weight loss? So what are some of those things that you're hearing?
Yeah. And this is a great topic because the dieting industry wants us to believe these things. So we just keep coming back, right? Like we just keep needing new diets because we have to believe that, or we tend to believe these myths or these lies. Number one being that you have to go on some drastic diet and starve yourself to lose weight.
Yep.
Right. So that's myth or lie number one. You just starve yourself to lose weight and go on some crazy diet plan. Number 2 is that eating healthy sucks. That it lacks flavor and it just doesn't taste good. And number 3 is that, I'm lazy or I'm unmotivated and my body just doesn't respond anymore. And that's why that's why I can't lose weight.
Yeah. Or maybe too connected with that is just, it's in my genes, like, just hereditarily speaking, like it's just not possible for me to be, skinnier. Well, and I love that second one because especially just last night. So my oldest daughter's home from college. She just got home from Ohio State, and my other son, they were like, hey, we want to make something, dessert after dinner. And I'm like, okay, well, hang on a minute. I've got some really good recipes here I want to share with you guys because we had all this extra fresh zucchini that we got at a farmer's market. I live down here in Florida and had some great farmer's market. And so we had all this extra zucchini. And I'm like, guys, did you know that you can actually make an amazing healthy dessert using zucchini? And they're like, what? I'm like, seriously. I'm like, you can make zucchini muffins. We can even throw in the chocolate chips. We love using, I think it's Lily's brand. It's like no sugar added. And so I gave them the recipe. They made these muffins and they're like, Mom, these are amazing. Like, we can't even believe. And Blake, my son's like, there's no sugar in these. This is crazy. And so like right there's, just even kids today, especially, like, I think that's what's so great about you and just the message and what you're teaching people, because yes, healthy and recipes, it can be fun and they can taste amazing. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I love to eat. I love flavor. I love different foods and variety. I'm not the person who can eat the same thing every day.
Yeah.
So when I went on my health journey, I had to figure out, because I'm half Polish. I grew up baking, right? Like our religion was flour, butter, sugar.
Oh, geez, yeah.
And hard work.
Yeah.
But, having to figure out, okay, well, I want to make things that I love, that my family loves, that I can serve to people and not have them go, ew, what is this cardboard?
Yeah.
That's why I created the blog with the recipes, because I wanted to share with people, hey, you can have orange cupcakes with chocolate frosting that are actually good for you. You can have cheesecake that tastes amazing. There's so many different ways to have flavor that doesn't, I think it just takes a little more inventiveness to come up with things that aren't what we typically think of as dessert or typically think of as sweets. They can still taste great and make us feel good, which is the idea, right? We don't want to feel like crap after we eat.
Right. Well, and I think too, we live in such a processed food society that I really am. I mean, that's something I'm passionate about, is just teaching people like, guys, you don't have to go to the store to buy a prepared dessert. Like, again, take ownership of your own just cooking, and start getting back to like what our parents and their parents did, before all this processed craziness, which is, I know we talked about this before we hit record, which is filled with a lot of GMOs and other, harmful, toxic ingredients. And so again, I love that you are promoting healthy cooking and you're providing those recipes. And a lot of people, that is what I think they're hungry for, no pun intended, is help me learn how to cook and bake things in a healthy way. So, so you guys, at the end of the show, Claudine's going to share how to find her blog. So I have to go back to, you said something about orange cupcakes. Like, so is that on your blog? Because I'm already thinking I want my kids to make that. Okay, yes. That's awesome. That's good to know. All right, cool. Thanks, Claudine. So, so what would you say right now? Again, you work with a lot of people as a coach. What would you say is the number one enemy for people when it comes to weight loss?
Yeah, the number one enemy. And I also call this the number one weight loss saboteur, because it's kind of like the hidden thing that people don't, one, they don't think about, and two, they don't really want to think about. And that is stress. Because as you mentioned earlier, we almost have a culture, we do have a culture of busyness. It's almost like a religion, right? Yep. Being busy is seen as a badge of honor versus stress. It would be nice if we realized that stressing ourselves out and not taking care of ourselves is actually killing us from the inside out. Yep. And as someone who suffered through 20 some years of corporate America, and, as I said, it was eating me out, from the inside out. I can attest that that level of stress in one's body can really, it hinders our immune system. It inhibits weight loss because a stressed body will not lose weight. Right? Like if you think of the tiger analogy, yes, where the stress response is designed to get us away from danger. The stress response was not designed for that mean email you got from your boss, right? Or like the argument you just had with your spouse. The stress response is designed to get us away from the man-eating tiger. And so when your body is feeling that stress, it shuts down all the other responses. It shuts down metabolism. It shuts down procreation. Like, it shuts down any other response that your body may need normally. But when we're in a state of chronic stress, like, everything just stops. So your body's not going to let you lose weight if you're stressed out. It's going to hold on to that fat for dear life, because it's like, I need that energy store to run away from this tiger that I think is happening because of the stress response we're having.
Yeah, that's so good. And I mean, that right there is so huge, because again, so many people who are struggling to lose weight, like you said, they seek out different fad diets or whatever. They maybe change up their eating, but it's like, or maybe get more active, but there's several pillars when it comes to wellness. And so you could do all those things, but if you don't have your stress under control, it's like you're not going to gain any traction in your journey. And I think that's so huge. And I didn't share this in our little talk, but that's a lot of why I moved to Florida. We moved down here last August, and again, for me, I'm a go person, and the beach has always been my one place that I can truly relax. And I've since been doing a lot of reading and research on the power of grounding. And even if you don't live near a beach, like, just the act of like barefoot, getting outside, maybe after a fresh rain, walking around in the grass or in the morning with the dew. If you live close to a beach, like I'm blessed to, that is one way. If you guys have not ever looked into that, grounding is a great way to help manage stress. And so I know for me, also, I do take time each day to do a little bit of breathing exercises. So I'm just curious, Claudine, I'm kind of throwing this question at you because I don't even know if it was on your list, but what are some strategies that you give your clients on how to manage their stress? So those are a couple things that I do.
I love those. Getting out in nature. There's so many studies that show that just being in nature automatically reduces your stress response. So, and I live in suburbia, right? So, but even still, there are trees. I can go walk down the street and or in my backyard. That just like putting my bare feet in the grass. You're absolutely right. Smelling the air when it's fresh. Is definitely great. And the breathing, because breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the opposite of the fight or flight response, which is amazing, which is why yoga is great. Even prayer, actually, there's a great book by James Nestor called Breath, where he talks about how, yes, yeah. He talks about how certain prayers, the breath pattern in it is designed to put you into a meditative state and reduce your stress response. But some other things I love, giving yourself, here's the thing. A lot of women, people in general, think that self-care is selfish, but giving yourself time to take a bubble bath, just do a meditation, or even go for a walk, have a dance party, like just stand around in your room, close the door so no one can see you, and just because any kind of physical activity actually is another great way. And if you don't like exercise, just doing the dance party or something that's fun for you to get to work out that stress response. Those are all, just a few. I could go on and on, but those are just a few things that help my clients.
Yeah. And I think too, it's just important to develop these as habits, right? Get in a routine, because it's not like, oh, hey, I'm feeling stressed today, I better like throw in something. Like, no, it's really training your body and your mind to build in these things into each and every day, so that your body will respond well to it. So I know for me, one of the best investments that I ever made, this is just again a way that I help manage my stress, is I actually have an infrared sauna, and it literally sits out in my garage. You guys, I'm sure my neighbors think I'm like a hoot if they walk by, but just it forces me, and I do it about 4 to 5 days a week, but it just forces me to kind of sit there. Like you said, I pray during that time. That's my prayer time. I have a book in there. And that is kind of like my little forced habit throughout the week to do that. Another thing that I think is a great idea, and I'm a big believer in this, and hey, it helps support other entrepreneurs or people that do this, but treating yourself to a massage, where I live, this is so crazy. We actually, at my chiropractor's office, they actually offer a little massage club. And so it's not very expensive at all. It's not like the, super like fancy room or anything, but just having that time where someone, if you're comfortable with that, having a massage, I think that is super awesome and a great stress reliever. So I just thought I'd throw those in too, but okay.
Yes.
Cool.
And I find that because we're so busy, calendaring it, like blocking it off in your calendar and making that non-negotiable. That's how I personally, I have to hold myself accountable that way. And I actually have to sign up for something that I can't get out of. Like if it's a yoga class or a massage or something where I would feel bad canceling. That's what I have to do to make sure it happens.
Yeah. Well, and you said something too, like that I thought was good. That, a lot of people think it's selfish to not practice self-care. And I look at it from a different perspective, that it's a necessity, because we all want to be the best, spouse, the best parent, the best aunt, the best daughter, the best employee, or whatever all these titles are that we juggle, that we all want to do our best job at those things, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And so like, if you are not taking care of yourself first, then it's going to impact the relationships around you, the work that you do around you. So I just thought that was so good that you said that. And the other thing, I wrote this down on one of my Post-it notes here, my little hot mess Post-it notes, but a stressed body will not lose weight. And guys, I hope that you wrote that down. I'm a big believer in affirmations as well. And just, feeding our mind with truth and wisdom. And if you're not someone that's tried doing affirmation cards, that might be something that you can incorporate in the morning, and writing something like that down and just reading it to yourself, like what you think about, you bring about. And so if you just remind yourself of that, a stressed body will not lose weight. This right here, I think, is $1 million advice to people, because again, they might be trying all these other things and not even dealing with the stress factor. So I love that you said that. Yes. All right. So next question. So how can men and women, or people who have tried everything, and I know we've got some listeners right now going, okay, I've tried every possible diet, I've done it all, but yet I cannot get my body to respond, and they want to be able to lose the weight and sustain the weight loss. That's the big thing. They want to be able to keep it off and feel great. How can we help them? What's some advice that you have for people like that?
Well, you brought up, you put this at the end, but it's a really good point, which is sustaining the weight loss, because we know that what we've done either hasn't worked or it's not sustainable, right? Whether it's like eating once a day or starving ourselves or counting calories or the low carb, no fun, no flavor diets, the packaged food with a ton of sodium and no nutrients. Like there are so many things that we have all done that either worked for a time and then we just went, we yo-yoed back, or just didn't work because they aren't sustainable. And they may not even be designed for your particular body, right? We're all different. And that's a real key point that is often lost in the dieting culture. So yeah, to be sustainable, to be in alignment with your body, the answer is really, I've come up with this formula that I call the 4 steps to sustainable weight loss formula. And it's comprised of 4 key topics or key themes that I've noticed have been missing from most sustainable weight loss programs. And the first one is the anti-hunger technique. Okay. Now, when most people think of a diet, they think I'm going to be hungry, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is, so when I say the anti-hunger technique, I literally do mean you're not allowed to go hungry, because going hungry actually slows down our metabolisms, because our bodies think we're in starvation mode. And that is a stressor on the body. And since we already talked about stress, a stressed body will not lose weight. Having that additional stressor of our body thinking, oh, we're not going to get any meals anytime soon, so we better actually conserve the fat that we do have. This is counterproductive. So my number 1 rule is you're not allowed to go hungry. The second thing is choosing quality. And this might seem a little woo to people, because although it does incorporate the quality of our food, it's also the quality of our relationships. Not only our relationships with others, but with ourselves. We talked about, are we including self-care? How are we spending our time? What are we saying yes to that we really want to say no to? Because being intentional with our time and what we want to do with it, it relaxes us. Again, it comes back to the stress thing, but it also helps us put ourselves first. Like you said, that oxygen mask, really giving to ourselves first so that we can then give to others. And as a mother, I know that when I am not giving to myself first, I'm not the best mother. I'm not the best boss. I'm not the best coach. I'm not the best anything when I'm not filling up my cup, because I'm harried and I'm exhausted and I'm not as patient as I could be, all the things. The third part of that 4 steps is sustainable weight loss formula is quantity, getting enough. And this ties back to the starvation thing, right? A lot of us feel like when we go on a diet, we have to drastically reduce our calories. We have to, I've heard people tell me that they only eat 500 calories a day. And I'm like, I don't even know how you're standing.
Yeah.
Because
crazy.
Your body, well, first of all, your body needs a certain number of nutrients just to maintain its normal function.
Right.
Kind of like, I hear a lot of people that, a lot of clients who come to me, they don't drink enough water, and your body's like 2/3 water. So if you're not drinking enough water, then your body's not able to do anything. It's not enabling it to detox.
Yeah.
Which means just basically flushing things out, is not able to, like, every function of our body needs water, whether it's circulation, blood flow, whether it's your lymph nodes, like all of our hormones go through some kind of water pathway. But getting enough water, getting enough food, getting enough nutrients so that our body can do its SOP, its standard operating procedures, right?
Yeah. Well, I love that you touched on the whole water emphasis because, I see a lot of people that complain about their weight or about their energy levels, yet they're drinking a Diet Coke or, and so guys, I think that's such a huge piece of advice. Like water should be like for me, I'm just being real. I drink water all day and maybe a little bit of unsweetened tea. I gave up soft drinks over 11 years ago. I have not had one since. And I'm not saying you got to give up, completely, but for me, that works because I'm like, if I were to drink one, I might bring the bad habit back again. And so, but I love that you hit on that water importance. Cause I just think that's so huge. I mean, that could be something else. If you're like, I'm struggling to lose weight and, I feel like crap. Well, you need to look in the mirror and go, okay, what am I drinking throughout the day? Because you might be drinking a crap ton of calories and you don't even realize it. So, so I'm just curious, how do you tell, like, to give people their own individualized gauge, how much water do you usually tell your clients to get in each day as a goal?
Well, some of them, when I tell them this, some of them go, I can't possibly, because it's half your body weight in ounces of water.
Yep.
So if you weigh 200 pounds, it's 100 ounces of water.
Yep.
And that doesn't include, if you're drinking coffee or some kind of caffeinated beverage, you have to add for every 8 ounces of water, 8 ounces of caffeine, you have to add 1.5 times. So whatever you have in caffeine, you have to add 1.5 times the amount of water. So 8 ounces of coffee means you got to drink 12 ounces of water just to replace it. That doesn't count.
Okay. I didn't realize that. And why is that? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Caffeine is actually a diuretic, right? It's pulling water out of your body.
That's so good to know. I just learned something huge today. So that's awesome. Okay.
So when my dad complains that he has kidney stones, but he's drinking all day, I'm like, what are you drinking? He's like, well, I have coffee all day.
Oh my gosh.
Like, Dad.
What? That's such a huge takeaway because, I do drink like an energy type thing in the morning. That's kind of how I start my day. I don't like coffee, so that's just kind of what I do. But I never like thought that actually didn't, like, I needed to drink extra water to allocate for that caffeine. That's so interesting. Okay, well, good to know. Yeah. Well, and and sometimes people are like, yeah, but I have to pee more. I'm like, but to me, I'm like, that's kind of a blessing because, like, to your point, you're flushing out more toxins. I mean, guys, we live in one of the most toxic times ever, right? With 5G and processed foods. And, I just learned this at a conference I went to recently that like 68% of toxins are absorbed through our skin, just in the air quality. So, I mean, you really can't avoid toxins. And so like water is such a huge way, drinking plenty of that and going to the bathroom and getting those toxins out. So it's so good. All right. And I cut you off. I'm so sorry, Claudine, but we are now, so you talked about your techniques, the anti-hunger technique. I'm sorry about your strategy, the anti-hunger technique, choosing quality, which I love that, from food and relationships, huge. And then the quantity. And that's where we talked about water. And so now you have your fourth one. I'm taking good notes here.
Look at you. Yes.
I know I am. I'm like, this is so good. This is so good.
Yes. The fourth one is releasing stress, which I feel like this has been a theme of our talk today. And I feel like it's a theme of our society too, because we are chronically stressed. And, when we were for a lot of us, when we were in our 20s and 30s, our bodies would compensate. Like, think about it this way. You could pull an all-nighter and go to work the next morning in your 20s. Like, no big deal. But if I did that today, my body would be like, oh, hell no.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, we would be like, no sleep, no problem. Chronically stressed with no downtime, no big deal. Living on Pringles and Snickers bars for fun. We got this. But at some point, our bodies stop compensating for how mean we are to them. And that's usually for most of us, that's around like the 40-ish mark. Yeah. And we really start having to look at I'll call it diet, but our intake and our lifestyle and how we are treating ourselves. Yeah. It's like, are we treating ourselves like someone we love?
That's,
You know,
that's
would you treat someone you were taking care of? Would you give them this food? Would you
oh,
hold
that's
them to
good.
these, you know, would you hold their feet to
Yeah.
the fire for this deadline? Like, probably not. You'd give them a break.
Right. Yeah.
And we need to give ourselves a break.
Yeah, that's so good. That's another huge takeaway is just, yeah, I love that. Because again, we're always so much harder on ourselves, but when we take the focus off of us in that perspective and think about, man, would you treat or feed someone else the way that you're doing that to yourself? That's good. That's so good. Well, awesome. Well, guys, this has been amazing so far. And I'm really sad that we're kind of getting to the end here. I feel like there's so many great takeaways. Again, I hope you've been taking awesome notes, maybe writing out some of these key nuggets that Claudine has given us in your journal or on, a post-it note or an index card, whatever. Again, I'm a former nerdy professor. I'm still a professor, but just not at an actual university anymore. But, I just really believe in the power of the written word and, just reading things, to really register in your mindset. And so I hope you are, writing down some of these things. And if not, you know what? Hey, listen to this twice, listen to it again. But, we talked about at the beginning, Claudine, that you have an amazing gift for our listeners today. And, I know there's so much more that you could share and educate people, when it comes to strategies on what they can do if their body can't lose weight, which is the topic today. And so how can people get connected to you? How can they learn more from you? And then tell us about the gift that you have for the listeners today.
Absolutely. And you're right. So many of us feel like we've given up when it comes to our weight loss, or even given up when it comes to feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what I want. I want to help people feel better because, whether it's the inflammation, the brain fog, the weight gain, whatever that is, it's not allowing us to live our best lives. So I have my website and blog where I have free recipes. I have articles that I've written, and that is ingoodcleantaste.com. And they can follow me at those same handles on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn at In Good Clean Taste. And to your point about the free gift, I am so excited to offer this to your listeners and to your viewers, is that I'm really happy to help people. And I would love to give them a free consultation so that we can really strategize what it is that they are doing to sabotage their own weight loss and health. And your listeners can book that at weightlosswithclaudine.com.
Perfect. And guys, just so you know, this is all going to be in the show notes. So, don't panic if you didn't get that written down. You can check that out in the show notes. We'll make sure that you have access to both of those sites. And, I think too, something else huge, and this is where I think you add so much value, is that a lot of times people who are struggling with weight loss, they feel alone, right? They feel frustrated. And that's where a lot of the self-sabotage comes in. And that's where what you do, Claudine, really matters, because people need people. And, they need a coach. They need someone that comes alongside of them. And so I hope you guys take advantage of just what she's offering, because that, sometimes, I've always preached this, that, we got to believe in people before they believe in themselves sometimes. And so, I think what you do in the service that you offer is just really believing in people that, yes, you can lose this weight. You can be the best version of yourself. And I'm going to help you do that by pouring that belief into you. So I love that. All right. Awesome. So again, I did get the first one written down, ingoodcleantaste.com. I'll definitely be checking it out because I want those orange muffins. I keep thinking about those. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then, just any last thoughts. I want to give you just kind of a moment to share anything else just on your heart. Maybe something you forgot to say, or now, just through our conversation, you're like, what, I want to add this in too. Just what's kind of a last message that you want to share with our listeners today?
Thank you for that. The thing that really drives me is that I feel that what we're talking about, helping people get healthy, helping people lose weight, helping people feel better in their bodies, that sounds like surface level things, but it's really so much deeper. It is about empowerment. It is about empowering people to feel like they're in control, empowering them to feel worthy. This is a huge thing. And I really want to say this to anyone who's listening, is that you are worth taking care of yourself.
Yes,
you are so important, and you deserve to be taken care of. So if you're one of those people that's putting yourself last, who's making the checklist, but you're not even on the checklist, I am telling you now, it is not only better for you, but better for everybody around you to focus on yourself, to give yourself that time, that space, that energy, that value. Because you're so important.
Yeah, that's so good. Like, I wish I had a mic so I could just be like, mic drop right there. No, it's so good. Well, and I literally, I had t-shirts made in the last year just for some special gifts for some friends. And it's a quote on the back. Like, it's that simple. You are worthy. And it's something that a friend of mine shared that I kind of stole. But yes, you are worthy. You said you are worth taking care of. That's what it was. You are worth taking care of. And I think that is so stinking good. And it's crazy. You didn't even know I had this on one of my Post-it notes, but that's literally how one of the things I wanted to say to close this out is just that you are in control. You said that word. You are in control of your health. And again, that is my whole just like purpose with this podcast, is just, giving people the confidence to take control of their health. And, unfortunately, we live in this society. It's all about prescribing medications. And, and I'm not saying that medications don't have their place, but guys, you can take control. You can be your own advocate and treat disease and your ailments on the front end, and really take ownership of how you feel. So this has been amazing, Claudine. And I just can't thank you enough again for, just being the very first speaker on the HealthyU podcast. And again, I just want to thank all of you guys as our listeners. Please, if this added value to you in any way, which I sure hope that it did, because I know I got tons of great nuggets from Claudine, but please do me a favor and share this link, share this podcast episode with your family, your friends, your coworkers, other people that you know that are looking for support, that are looking for encouragement. And I think what I love so much about you, Claudine, is that you have an awesome gift of just passion and relatability. And I think anyone that listens to this podcast episode is gonna be like, this chick's fun. Like, this was a good podcast. And, I just think this is one that's really going to help a lot of people. So guys, please share this. Again, you can check out some of the free resources that I am providing by just going to dawnfunk.com. You can check that out. And I just want to give a little disclaimer, because Claudine actually brought this up too. When you go to my website, you are going to see something that is not so healthy. And it is Dawn's cookies. And I just want to just share about that, Claudine and I talked about it, that I believe, especially in no perfect living, like there's no such thing as perfection. And so, I very much believe in taking ownership of my health and, being intentional. But with that being said, I think if you do take care of yourself, if you do work in habits to manage your stress, if you are focusing on developing a stronger mindset, then you can have a little treat once in a while. And so anyways, but it's really part of a, like a little passion project of mine. I do raise money for small nonprofits. So just wanted to let you know that is on my website as well. But just thank you again, Claudine, for just sharing your heart, for being on here today. And I just cannot wait for people to listen to this episode. So have a blessed day, everyone. Thank you so much for being a listener today on the HealthyU podcast. Thank you so much.